I spent years working day jobs that left me constantly burnt out and depressed. And when I decided to build my business, one thing that was very important for me from the beginning was that I'm creating something that works with my mental health, with my physical health, that doesn't cause me to constantly feel burnt out and exhausted. And while I haven't worked a traditional job in about a year and a half, yeah, year and a half. That's pretty exciting. Um, it's kind of left me in this place where I don't really know where my limits are anymore. And as someone who is frequently trying to not push myself to the point of feeling sick or feeling exhausted or migraines, I thought it was about time to test them. I have been working really, really hard on starting my website, on getting consistent on social media, showing up, doing my art frequently, doing the things I love. And that has all been going wonderful. But sometimes my ADHD likes to go in so many directions that I need to give myself a deadline. I need to add that just a little bit of pressure to get the things done. So that's what I did last week. And I may have gone just a little too far. So last week I built my website. I'd done a tiny bit of the foundations, but not much. I did all the photography and videography for my paintings, which took a lot more time than I thought it would. I created social media posts and did all those tiny little tasks. Within all this physical work I was doing, I was also still working on trainings for my entrepreneurship. I had multiple meetings and energy healing sessions 2 weeks back to back, which was amazing. I am feeling better. But all of this to say is it was too much. And I had a feeling I would do too much. And part of that for me in running this experiment was working under the assumption I would push myself a little too far and creating space at the end of the week so I could have that cushion to recover. Um, so from Monday to Friday, I was doing all the hard shit. Sorry, I hope you don't mind swear words. I say them occasionally. And then on the weekend, I was burnt out. I started receiving pain. Things started flaring up. My whole body feels like I've either run a half marathon, which I have done before. I do know what it feels like. Or I have just had a really bad flu. Like everything aches. Most of Sunday was spent sleeping away a migraine that, decided to appear before I even woke up. And Monday was still a little bit of recovery. It's Wednesday at this point, so almost a week later, and I'm finally feeling back to myself. But it really was a lot. But it's also good to know where those limits lie. When I haven't pushed myself hard, it feels like I haven't pushed myself hard. I've just been pushing myself in different ways. But I needed to know where that limit was, where that barrier was, where my capabilities lied. I think if I'd done, say, 2/3 of what I tried to shove into last week, it would have been a lot more manageable and I wouldn't have had so much need for recovery time. But, what can you do with that? At the end of the day, it has left me with a better understanding of my energy, of my capacity, of just how far I can push. But it also kind of reconfirms that the way I've been taking a step back from very strict deadlines and high pressure work has really been helping me. I wasn't burnt out and unable to work for weeks afterwards, which is what the traditional job always left me with. And I feel a lot more confident in the volume of work I've been putting out. A lot of the things I did this past week were also things that don't have to be done consistently. Like my website, it's built. I don't have to go build another website a month from now. It's one website, which thank gosh it's done. Will I tweak it? Absolutely. But adding a new page here or there isn't going to take hours and hours and hours of work consistently just to get it up and running and everything finalized. Yeah, it was just really, really good to know. A big part of the reason why I wanted to push myself so far this last week was to see what I could do. I I helped set up a whole hotel in a matter of a month or two. I've done 8-hour days of computer work back to back to back to back, and I did that consistently. I haven't done that in a really, really long time. And I think for myself, it was just important to see. It was good confirmation that I am on the right route. And as I continue forward, I continue to build my business in a way where it snowballs. I build one thing, but that one thing isn't just a one and done. It can grow, it can be expanded on. If I need to tweak it, it only takes a little more effort. If I want to sell more art, it might take 10-15 minutes to get a listing up, but I don't have to create that whole thing from scratch every single time anymore. And that is a really huge relief. Now, while I may have initially set the deadline for Friday to get my website up and launched and ready, I didn't meet that goal. And it also was a little hard not to beat myself up over that. There weren't a lot of things that were left to do. It was mainly just some tiny little detail work on my website, which felt important, such as terms and conditions. And that more difficult than it needed to be, but that's how my brain works. Um, and like some more photography stuff. And as much as I wanted to push through and get it done on the weekend, I took that time to rest because I knew I needed to. If I had kept pushing myself further, I think the recovery time would have been a lot longer. I think I would have been more sore than I still am. It wouldn't have been as fun. When you are neurodivergent and or chronically ill, whether you have your diagnosis yet or not, chances are you probably know, knowing what works for you and what doesn't is really important. Knowing where your capacity is really important. I didn't just come out of the gate trying to push myself to the point to find out where my limit was. I did spend a solid year and a half making sure that I could just be okay mentally, that I could actually work. And from there, I slowly built up the amount of work I was doing on a regular basis. I slowly built up the volume of videos or shorts or marketing style material I did every week. And I really had just had this question over and over, like, how far can I push it? Where is my limit? What can I do? And it had just been such a long time. But I'm glad I found it. And I think one of the interesting things I definitely will have to keep in mind moving forward is I made sure I did that on my high capacity week. And that was my limit for that high capacity week. If I had wanted to push myself on a low capacity week, well, honestly, first of all, if I don't have to, I'm not going to. I'm building it so I don't have to work as hard on my low capacity weeks. But I wouldn't have set the same high standard or the same high goal for myself. The amount of work I expect myself to do fluctuates. And if I get to the end of the day and we're halfway through the day and I realize that I'm not going to get quite as much done as I wanted to, I let myself have that space. I give myself that breathing room. And I try to do it without guilt. And I think that is one of the biggest things that I've had to learn is to rest without guilt. But it is one of those really important lessons. I have actually made another video on that too. But I hope this helped give you a little insight onto what it looks like behind the scenes as I build a business, being neurodivergent and chronically ill, even if I still am undiagnosed. So thank you for being here. I hope this helps. I appreciate you. And if you want to share your stories and your experiences about something similar in the comments, I would love to hear it. Hope you will subscribe and follow along for more videos like this. Have a great day.